Okay, I'd like to teach teachers about learning and also anybody that works in that industry in whatever way. I want to talk about the differences between things. So, that's rude. No, stop it. And so, not that long ago, I did a post about this. Again, like I tried 2 years later, which was not that long ago, to apply for work as a, well, not really as a teacher. That's what they don't get as a learning specialist, but you can put me in the role of teacher if you want. Except, again, I always say it's not the best use of my skill sets. And the lady said, unqualified teacher. We're looking for qualified teachers. So I said, well, I kind of resent that term. And, but that, she can't, in her culture, stop from using it. By the way, it's a form of bullying. So teachers and teacher cultures and teacher unions, bullying. Bullying to defend a status that they barely deserve. Barely. And that's measurable and demonstrable. So, for example, instead of saying unqualified, why don't you say without a teacher certification? Don't even say uncertified because that's already negative. So you can say, independent educator without teacher certification. And the reason for that is, I am qualified and I have been and I will continue to be in many ways to teach driving, to tutor various subjects, to be a life skills coach, to be a badminton coach, and also other things that I've never specifically trained in or received jobs in, but that I've taken on myself, like teaching computer skills, counseling skills, communication skills, listening skills, things like that. Now, am I unqualified if I am someone who begs to be observed so that others can learn from this, including certified teachers? So I'm a lifelong learner. I've continued to learn about a lot of things, and I continue to do that. And it has no monetary motivation. It's not related to a job or related to increasing, my salary for a career or things like that. So I'm a lifelong learner. I'm reading a book about teaching English. Now, one of the questions that I'm going to start asking employers could be in education. I'm going to say, what makes you want me to go do a certification as a teacher when I already am qualified as a teacher and I've worked as a teacher, and you want to check my references as a teacher? So let's define these terms. But let's also define how to measure for these behaviors, because that's really important. Like, for example, if somebody says you don't have this diploma or this diploma to teach English, and you would learn from it. Yes, I would, but you'd also learn from me. And if you don't get that, you're not a lifelong learner. You're not somebody who sees learning as a way of life. And a lot of times I've been offered work with some bullying involved because, they put a lot of time on me and they're headhunters, and, they just want me to just sign a contract that's so generically poorly written for years. And sometimes they send me an example of it, which has an example of somebody's passport from England that is real. I'm pretty sure that person didn't give permission for that information to be floating around everywhere. But for them, they don't get it. For example, they never even realize that they're speaking to a French person who has developed English skills, written, hearing, reading, speaking, that is far beyond those that only have English as a language, and that includes also those that have their certifications for teaching English or for being certified teachers that they require on the job as they have these jobs. So the fact that that's not discussed, again, gives me a red flag of working for that employer or that government. And unfortunately, that's all I get. All I get are these red flags. So why don't we do something to show we care about worker rights? For example, if somebody doesn't have that certificate, then get them to do the test to see. Because if somebody says I have more than equivalency and I'm never going to pay you money to take that test or to become a certified teacher in BC, when I already surpass because I've worked in schools and I've seen what it's really like, not just as a student, but as a colleague. So get me to do the testing. Make a program for the testing. They say, well, it can be done. Okay, then how do you test the people you give these certifications to? There must be a test. Must be a test for all these things, even if they take a few weeks because you have to, film a video of you in a classroom or whatever it is. Why don't you do that if you're really pro learning? Now, if you look at my definition again of learning specialist, I could tell you that if any certified teachers claims to be a learning specialist, especially as I define it, it's already upsetting that people call themselves life skills teachers or coaches when they have no clue even how to define it.